Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have not one master from outside, but all podcast hosts और आप सब लोग में से भी जो लोग भी पॉडकास्टिंग से रिलेटेड हैं, all those hosts who want to make their podcast better, they are the masters for today because we'll be talking amongst ourselves how we can make it all better and who are looking to make our shows better. हर कोई कोशिश करता है कि उनका शो जो है ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बेटर हो जाए. And welcome to everybody, international people and also my domestic friends from India, so that I'll be speaking in Hindi also at the same time, so that कि मेरी आवाज उनको भी समझ में आए. ऐसे तो सब लोग अंग्रेजी समझते हैं, but this is just to keep all the things together at the same time. So thank you very much for joining us. लोग जहां से भी join कर पा रहे हैं, thank you very much for that. And especially, so this show will be more like a ask me anything. कुछ भी आप पूछ सकते हैं और उसमें हम किस तरह से क्रिएट कर सकते हैं. स्पेशली जो पॉडकास्ट होस्ट हैं, जो पॉडकास्टर्स हैं, जो अपने प्रोग्राम को बेटर करना चाहते हैं, बेटर एनर्जी देना चाहते हैं, ताकि उनका शो ज्यादा लोगों को पसंद आए एंड दे डोंट स्टार्ट लूजिंग देयर ऑडियंस. तो सबसे पहले मैं बता दूं, माय नेम इज अजय, खुडानिया अजय, एज यू कैन सी देयर, एंड आई हैव बीन मोर एसोसिएटेड विद कंटेंट. एंड इसके बाद ये नेचुरल ट्रांजिशन था. आई केम इनटू पॉडकास्टिंग और अभी आप देख रहे हो कि मैंने करीब 400 से ज़्यादा एपिसोड किया है और उसमें भी बहुत ज़्यादा करीब 300 करीब लाइव शोज हैं. और इसीलिए मैंने सोचा कि जो एक चीज़ लोगों को पसंद आती है वो है कि ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरा शो बहुत ज़्यादा व्यूअर्स हैं, इतने ज़्यादा व्यूअर्स हैं कि एक सबको पता लग गया हो कि मैं पॉडकास्टिंग करता हूं. बट जितने भी लोगों को पता है, उनको एक चीज पसंद आती है, वो है एनर्जी लेवल्स, कि इस शो में थोड़ी वाइब्रेंसी है. और ये इसलिए है कि चूंकि मैं जर्नलिज्म के बैकग्राउंड से हूं, तो मुझे लगा कि उसको थोड़ा सा कंटेम्पररी तरीके से, थोड़ा सा लोगों को जो पसंद आता हो, कंटेक्चुअल लगता हो, उस तरह की चीजों को मैं क्रिएट कर सकता हूँ. सो दैट्स द वे आई क्रिएटेड दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. एंड आप लोगों को देखा होगा कि इसमें वो सारी चीजें आती हैं म्यूजिक के साथ और काउंटडाउन के साथ. तो फर्स्ट व्हाई एम आई ब्रिंगिंग दिस पर्टिकुलर शो, सो दैट यू शुड नो देयर हैज टू बी अ रीजन फॉर मी टू bring this particular show, ask me anything, so that anybody who wants to understand how they can bring more energy to their show. So anybody who is joining now or can listen or see this particular video later on. The first reason is that podcasting is a growing medium and you can create a niche for yourself, some sort of a thing for yourself which can take it further and help you create some sort of a space for yourself in terms of your self branding, in terms of your personal branding, in terms of your business branding. If you are doing a coaching sort of a thing, whatever you are doing, you can. But most important thing is you got to make the show a bit more energy filled as well as more interesting for your audience. And those things, especially whatever expertise you bring, before coming to that, people must be interested in listening and watching to your show, especially the first few minutes. And that is where the energy levels are very much required. Why I'm talking is one of the reason is the pod fade. Pod fade is when a lot of podcasters are finding it difficult to roll out beyond 10 episodes. And that is a difficult phase for a lot of people, and that's not a good sign for the industry as such, because 80%, around 80 to 85% of podcasters they do not do shows beyond that, and then new set of podcasters come in the next year. So to reduce this particular thing, is that to first important thing is that you are motivated enough. And how will you be motivated enough? When there is enough interest from the audience, and there is enough interest also by your own self, exactly how you are enjoying your show. So that is one of the reasons. Recently I appeared as a guest on the Binge Factor podcast, and there I talked about a lot about the energy part. They were interested to understand what exactly is the binge factor for my show. So I'll put that in the YouTube description so that you can watch that interview. You can go get additional inputs from me on this particular topic. But as of now, the most important thing is, आप लोगों ने देखा होगा, when I start my show, and that is where you must also start focusing on that. How do you actually start a show which makes it very interesting? Now I use the countdown method. You can choose something of your own which helps you, give that sort of a momentum when your guest comes in, some sort of a uh, start to your show where you are actually ready for the show. If you straightway go without any sort of a countdown or any uh, sort of a music or anything, it becomes, abrupt sometimes. So this 25-30 seconds for you for a countdown will help you uh, set that tone for the thing. Even the guest knows that this is the last 20 seconds, 25 seconds that they have. They can have water. Even you can have water. You can be mentally prepared, and with every moment passing by, you are ready for the thing. You will be mentally prepared as if something is coming up very strongly. Even the guest and is very mentally ready, and audience also is ready that something is coming up. And that is where the next part comes in, that how do you do you come down straight with the guest? Should you come alone? Should you straightway talk about the guest? You are welcoming him, not welcoming him, asking about the first question. That is where I tend to bring in a different sort of understanding, is that before starting, even immediately after the countdown, I use those things called coming live and particular location and all. Why do I do that? There is a reason to it. The reason is that, and that is where a lot of guests like it. Before I go live and I should start showing them live, I can see it on my screen that they are happy about it. Why does it make a difference? One is that people like to read newspapers. How would they understand things from a news perspective, even though it's not purely about news, from a on a podcast? So first thing is, in a newspaper there is something called the dateline. Dateline is what? Dateline gives you information exactly from where the story has been filed. In the same way, in particular podcast, if I use a particular thing called, coming live from that location, is the guest tonight or in the morning or whatever time it is, it gives a sense of location to the audience, and they understand, okay, this guest is from a particular place, and they have that curiosity. Even if it is very obvious that a guest is from a particular place, they can come to know it's from a foreign location. That sense of, connection is created through that. That is, I could suggest you can try it in your own manner, but it is something everybody has their freedom to decide for themselves what works best for them. There are many other methods depending on the type of podcast you have, but I do it because I like it this way. Going forward, I might make a few changes depending on how it works. The most important part here is that when the guest is hearing this, they feel more connected with that particular situation, and they are much more attuned to the beginning of the show, that okay, my show is coming up, and this is I am and this is something very, very important. After that, even the people who are from a particular location, they feel that okay, somebody from their location is coming onto the show. So all that connection, this is all about human connection. Human mind is connected to locations, people, and all that stuff. So this is when the show gets a good start. People wait for that particular guest to come on, and after a few seconds, please, my suggestion is not to waste too much of time at that point in time in just that intro and talking about several things, and about, because it will depend on the guests themselves. They might lose that impact, or they may not feel that, the audience may not feel so strongly connected with what you are talking to yourself, but would want to get the guest as soon as possible. And when you come to the guest, then you come and talk to them straight away. Don't introduce them to such a great extent that it becomes as if you are talking and reading out a backgrounder or a bio. People are not interested in bios today. If they can always read from LinkedIn or anywhere else. What they want to understand is exactly who this guest is. What is their minimum understanding of the topic, minimum say description of a particular guest, so that they know, is this guest qualified on the topic that he is about to speak. So if they know that, if it's a branding expert, if they know that he's the owner of a branding company, that's enough. Then don't talk about too many things, what he has done, how many books he has written. At that point in time, I don't believe, at least, that is necessary at that point in time. You would like to tell about it, weave that into the context as you move forward, because that is where your mind will work actually. And it will make you keep thinking about that. Even the guest will appreciate your questions, if they are, even though several guests keep on sharing about their questions with you, if you ask them, weaving them with several other things together. So that is another thing, that you can keep that energy level into your show from the very beginning. And those 5 minutes, which will be like a newspaper headline. So one is you can see the sticker also. You see, so it makes anybody come to your show know exactly what we are talking about. That I'm not talking about something different which you may not be interested in. So this is the show, this is the topic we are talking about. This is that you can ask questions wherever you are. So this gives that sort of a contextuality, some sort of a energy that is there, and the vibrancy to the show you would be doing. And I guess even in audio, this reflects. If it is video and you are using the same audio, the energy level will reflect. Even if in the video, in the audio, the ticker will not be there, but that energy level, the type of way the guest will answer your questions, that will be very, very useful. I can tell you that, try it if you have not tried it. Try with your friends, with your family. Record it with that sort of a thing. You'll find that difference is there. And that is where I don't want that you just focus only on this. At the end of the day, it is about content. And content is most important. Many shows are there which may not have that much of energy level, not much of vibrancy, but still they are very, very famous. So they have their own niche. But here I'm talking about most of the general podcasters, people who want to get into podcasting. There is a huge shift that is happening in the podcasting world, and people want to get value out of every podcast or anything that they do. Even a social media post, now you don't unnecessarily read posts which does not give any value to you. If you find that there is some value, then you stay. Even in podcasts, it's that sort of thing that is happening. Earlier, even podcasts used to be for longer durations. Now the the sweet spot is 37 minutes, even lesser. Even I'm trying to reduce the amount of time that my podcast goes through, maybe less than 30 minutes. Ideally, I would like to keep it between 20 to 22 minutes. In a television background, coming from a television background, I would like to see that I am doing a half an hour show where 22 minutes is the content, rest is the advertisement. So here, I don't know whether any advertisement will come, but even if it doesn't, even 22 minutes is good enough. And that is something my personal suggestion is that one can look at that way, because in those 22 minutes, you will try to bring in the real value and not talk too much about background of the guest about anything that is not related to your thing that you are talking about. And that is where a lot of people will stick to that. So I've talked about the countdown, I've talked about the deadline, I've also talked about the tickers, and now most important thing is how do you keep that energy level. Here, one of the most important thing is about the questions. Whatever you do, whatever color combination music you bring, at the end of the day is the type of questions you are asking to your guest. If your questions are not good enough, not engaging enough, and forget about the guest to your audience, is it bringing value? That is where your first question is most important, immediately after whatever introduction and small bit you have talked about. Make sure that you do your homework in your podcasting. Every day, we are all work in progress. Every day we must keep on looking at new ways of finding information which is going to bring the best out of the guest. See, you must have also seen in your own experiences, say anybody who is talking about talking to a big guest, say somebody who is talking to the finance minister of the country. Several anchors, they talk and ask the different sort of questions. But there are some anchors, even though they are talking about, say, after the budget, they will talk in such a manner that the whole budget will come out much more informative to you, much more vibrant to you, much more value based to you. Why does it happen? Just think about it. So the question is, it's not about always the guest, it is about the type of questions you ask the same guest. And if you ask the right questions to your guest, the quest will come in a very new avatar. It will be bringing, you'll see that change in the way the guest will be answering your questions. That is where the value of a podcast or a podcaster is going to come alive for the audience. That is where not just live, but even in future recordings and all that stuff, it will be like that. So try to make sure that you do your research. Many a times, even I keep on getting those guest requests. Sometimes, I sleep a bit late, but early in the morning, I see a guest request, and, for something like booking after 4 hours, 5 hours. Now, I can do it, but have I got the time to research? No, I have not got it. So, most important thing is the guest may be ready, but I am not ready. So, how do you do that research part? How do you create the right questions? My suggestion is don't go and prepare beyond 5 questions, because then you will have so many questions, you will get overwhelmed. Rest are nitty gritties. Create those questions, weave those questions with the way the guest is, what exactly is his expertise, and try to bring that first question which makes the guest thinking, makes he or she think, this is something where I will need to be fully present. I cannot just beat around the bush. Many a guest can become complacent, and that is where your show, it will reflect in your show. And this is where you got to keep that thing alive. If there is any particular question about how to actually do a research on this, please write to me. You can write to me, I will answer them. Best is to connect with me on LinkedIn. That is where I can be more responsive. But feel free, if you want to ask me direct questions, also want to book a session with me, no problem. I'll answer with them for you. I'm not talking about any fees for this. If it's a company, it's a different thing. But if you are a podcast, you are part of my community, feel free to ask me at any point in time. And once you do the research, take that time. Many of you are doing podcasts every week. I do podcasts, live podcasts almost every day, maybe more than one, sometimes twice, even 3 times, 3 guests at the same time. So if you have got a week, spend some time on going to LinkedIn, going to Instagram, also going to Twitter. Those places will give you a lot of information beyond what they have written in their one pages. do that bit, and you will be surprised at your own effort, the way things have come up. The whole thing will change upside down. Don't just read the way the guest wants to read about his information. Or many a times it's the PR agency who has framed them. Many a times it is their podcast agency which has done for them. I don't say that they have written anything wrong. Make sure that you ask the same question as I was talking about about interviewing the finance minister. Make sure that you have done the homework. Ask the same questions in such a manner like that it becomes a very important thing. For example, I'll tell you, when I started live podcasting a year back, one of the early times, I did not know anything about crypto at that point in time, and I talked with somebody who was investing in crypto. Dan, the lost boy. He's from Canada, and young guy, very energetic, very enthusiastic, and his crypto sort of thing, it has a monkey sort of a logo. I had gone through that, and when I was doing that research, one important thing was that that he has brought those monkey and all that stuff, and it made a bit funky. All those things were there. So my first question was that he was talking about crypto, and I asked him about that. That, listen, you have that logo with the monkey, but crypto is not monkey business. Now, this is what makes the guest feel good. There is a connection. I don't say we all are different people. I have a different level of thinking. You have a different level of thinking. But try to connect things which makes it interesting for the guest as well as the audience. So when you make it interesting for the guest, the audience will certainly be very interested in the way the conversation is going. Nobody comes to just listen to drab conversation, on to watch conversation. We are not film stars or movie stars. We are here to provide value, and as long as we do that, so work on your question. That is the important part, I can say. And that if there is any question, you can ask me now. You can drop me if you want to on LinkedIn, even here on any of the platforms that you may watch this show or listen to this show. Feel free to drop a line now, later, on LinkedIn or anywhere. I am very, very open. I want the level of pod fade to decrease. I want better quality of podcasts to come in. I want podcasting to happen, and there is a much more vibrant sort of a podcasting that happens. Everybody gets value out of it. And most important thing is, if you are producing podcasts, hosting podcasts, creating podcasts, I want you to make a livelihood if you are looking at it from that point of view. And even if not livelihood, many people are doing it apart from their 9-to-5 jobs. Make it so interesting that you continue to keep doing it. And at one point in time, you'll find that you've created such a brand for yourself, such a product for yourself, such a service for yourself, that you might even think of, better ways to look at this whole stuff. That is, things will change, branding will change, everything else will change. But this is one thing, and I'll tell you, if you do that research, it will reflect in your life also, in your work life. You will not be lazy about it. So this is a lot about the questions part. So two part is that, how do you create that energy level? You must try to make sure that you are energetic about something that you are about to do, and that will reflect here. See, I am just talking to myself, but I see, and I don't see too many people right now. But it is okay. It is okay. I'm not doing it for just now. I'm doing it also for the future. That if there is something, somebody, even one person can make something good out of this, I'll be very happy. And later on, people engage. I'll put it also on audio, and video is already there, also on text and other social media platforms. But that is where the value part is. That you show it in your attitude, and once you bring that, it's not that if you are introvert you have to be extra energy, but feel good about what you are doing. Don't feel that you are doing a job, that it is something you are not interested in, and this is not something it is something of a guest. See, you may be doing many podcasts, but the podcast guest, it might be just the first one. And my biggest happiness has been that Several of my guests have told me that this is the first time they have done a live interview with me. So one thing I know, that this is one thing they will always remember. I always remember about my first podcast. Like, I always remember my first byline when, as a journalist, I used to write. So people remember those first things in their life. You will get that opportunity to interview so many people, and to be the first podcaster in their life who will be doing their live interview, or even a recorded interview on video or audio, whatever it is. And also I put it on Medium and Substack too, for SEO purposes, and so that there is that text part also of it. So try to keep yourself a bit more energy, because that reflects very much in your show, and you don't have to do anything else. But one important thing is that you sit straight about it. When you sit straight while doing, many people, that's why many people do it standing up. When they are standing, your voice will come better. And don't eat too much of stuff before you do podcasting. And one more important thing is that you must try to do podcast at a time which is falling in your zone. Like, I am much more of a evening person, so I am much more energetic in the evenings. I try to do in early mornings also, I do, but that is not the best time for me. That time I'm still trying, my mind is still processing all the things that has happened the day before or at night and all that stuff. So try to be and play closer to your zone, about the energy levels and all that stuff. This is what I can say at the moment. And most important thing about podcasting is that, why should people look at podcasting? If they look at podcasting, because they look at the host. And why should they look at the host? Firstly, it's about value. And second thing is about genuinity. That the podcast host is a genuine person. And how do you do that? Do not try to create, too many things, so many artificial things, that the whole purpose of the reality of podcasting, the genuineness of a person and podcasting, is lost. Don't do that. The podcasting is the perfection is in the imperfection now. Nobody wants those, because so many things and agencies and all that stuff they create. So people have seen it enough. Be yourself. See, I come from a television background, but you'll see I have so many defects in the way I have planned my lighting and all that stuff. But why is it? Should I only focus on that? No. I want to communicate. I want to be myself. I will do my best to provide the best audio video that is possible, but I cannot invest so much of money. I cannot put so much of things on that I cannot afford into at this point in time. So most important thing is, do the podcast with what you have and try to add to it. But one thing you can keep on adding all the time is adding value. That should not diminish at any point in time or at the cost of anything else. That is why the audience connects with you. Audience wants you to feel that you are one of them. You are not from some other world. You are not a film star. You are not an influencer. Don't try to think. That's what I think. I may be wrong. I may be, my thoughts might be in variance with several of other people. But this is the way I think about podcasting, about the connection with my audience. So this is what I can say, that be yourself. Do not be afraid of being yourself. It does not mean that you have to, become something different, so different in terms of, that you use different sort of words and all that stuff. Be as clear, be as simple. People are here. Your audience is from different corners of the world. You just never know who is listening. And that is just like in Substack, 80% of my listeners are from the US. In another platform, somebody is from another corner of the earth. In another platform, most of them, like YouTube, many of them are from India. So this is the way it happens. But anybody who should listen should understand that your way of connecting has demolished all barriers of region, about any sort of accent or anything else. They should just feel that yes, this is person. He may not be the best person in terms of giving information or everything else, but at least this person is trying his best, and at least this person is a very genuine person I can trust. Everybody wants to feel it that way. Try to be that person, and I'll tell you, nothing will come between you and your success. Rest, everything else will fall into place. I did not start my podcasting with everything perfect. Even today, you see this blue color. 10 minutes before the show, I was just trying to, but before that, I had prepared my content, what exactly I will be talking about. Over preparation is not required. My show is mostly, I just put some pointers here, and this is what I'll talk about by and large. Otherwise, I will not know what exactly to talk. But most of my shows, if you see, they are unscripted, real time. Most of the questions I have not prepared, only few. As I said, prepare 4 to 5 questions so that you know where to pick up and ask subsequent questions on the answers, and be a good listener. When you listen to the guest will know it. If you don't listen, even if you are just looking at the guest also knows that. So become a very good listener. That will also reflect in your personal life also. You'll listen to much more things better when somebody else is talking, either at home or even in your work. At least this is what I have what I have gained out of this. So all I can say is about that. So 3 things. One is the energy level through music and whatever else that you can. Second thing is about the questions. Third thing is about your attitude. And third thing is, and the last thing is that, be yourself. Don't lose, even if you have done more than around, say, I can 400 shows now. Amidst all these things, at the end of the show, detach yourself, be yourself, and be the same person when you are with your audience. That is your gift to the world. And when the world starts gifting you, when your audience starts gifting you, it will be something very, very, heart sort of it quenches your heart, and nothing else matters at the end of the day. When you are doing a good podcast, when you are connecting to the people through the right information, to be right. And always make sure that you are vetting the information. Even if you think that as a podcaster, not many people will follow the advice of your guests and what you are saying, it is not like that. People do listen to things and they may follow. So always make sure that you are qualifying all that information that you are giving. If you feel that the guest might be lying, or it's something very different sort of a topic, that then you must never endorse anything which you do not know about, because people are here to promote their brand, their things. Always qualify it with your disclaimer, with your words, and make sure that the guest your audience knows who this guest is, whether the guest is actually so much of having so much of qualification, or if there is any sort of a padding. So your research, your sort of an understanding will give that thing. At the end of the day, it is you and the listener. So be the right connect to them, be the right philosopher and guide for them, and that will be the connection which you will keep on carrying for a long, long time, and it will be a great, happy journey. At the end of the day, as I said, if you have any questions, ask me. But I have answered most of the things. As I said, many people sometimes ask me several questions. Sometimes there are no questions. It does not matter. You have to keep on answering as much of questions in your podcast as possible, and that is at the end of the day. So having said that, my closing thing is that at the end, let nothing stop you from podcasting. You may have less lights, you may have more lights, you may have a different sort of an accent, or you may have anything else. Do not try to just fix all of them and then think, oh, one fine day I will start podcasting. Just start. When you start, it will be the journey towards your success. That's all I can say. Have a great day. Take care. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And let's keep talking. Let's keep podcasting. Let's keep adding value. Thank you so much indeed.